Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you for the organisers for the opportunity to come here and present to you all today. So it's great to be here. I'd also like to thank Jörg. I think he's given a perfect segue into Gascoyne Resources and what we are. We are the only Australian company here, high margin gold focused company with assets in Western Australia, low risk jurisdiction in Western Australia. I probably should steal a few slides from Jörg to throw into my presentation. I will be making some forward-looking statements, required to put this up for ASX disclosure reasons. We will. This will be on the website shortly. So we are a Western Australian focused company with 2 + 1 million ounce ore bodies on granted mining leases in the low risk jurisdiction of Western Australia. The first asset we'll develop, and we are developing right now, is the Dalgaranga Gold Project in Western Australia, in the Murchison of Western Australia. We finished a feasibility study there on that asset in November of last year, and we've constantly improved that asset after feasibility from then until now, and we've grown the resource by over 17% since we completed the feasibility study. The production profile has increased for the first 2 years from 100,000, 105,000 ounces per annum up towards, and in fact in excess of 120,000 ounces for the first few years. All at a low capital cost and high margin. That is an advantage that Australian companies have got over most of the other gold companies in the world, in that our costs in Australian dollar terms, all-in sustaining costs, around 930 from our feasibility study, but for round numbers use $950 an ounce. Today, $1,700 gold price, that gives us a margin of approximately $700 to $750 an ounce. Now that is an outstanding margin in any business. That really then lets us leverage off that and off the low capital cost of that asset to build our second asset, which is the Glenburg Gold Project, another 1 million ounce gold project, also in Western Australia. And it's hard to believe that 2 + 1 million ounce ore bodies with higher than average grade for undeveloped assets in the world can be found in the low risk jurisdiction of Western Australia. We are an exploration company and will continue to explore those assets and see further growth of the assets going forward. So I'll focus mainly on the Dalgaranga project. That is the one we're building right now, but I will very quickly at the end mention the Glenburg project. So Dalgaranga itself is in the Murchison of Western Australia. It's just outside, 60 kilometres outside the mining town of Mount Magnet. They've been mining gold there for over 100 years. And we control around 85 to 90% of the entire greenstone belt, the Dalgaranga greenstone belt. A unique position to be in. Granted mining leases, granted for 21 years, with a further extension for another 21 years after that, and we're about 2 years into that life. No environmental issues, very good metallurgical recovery and reserves currently of 580,000 ounces. In the mine plan we have 620,000 ounces so far, which gives us a 6-year life with clear extensions beyond that. So the path forward and where we are right now. As I mentioned, we finished the feasibility study in November of last year. Since then, we've split the company, if you like, in two, all under the same structure, but an exploration arm to allow them to continue to explore and grow the company. And then the project development arm. By doing that, we allow the exploration team to continue to focus on exploration, which is the lifeblood of our business, and will continue to show more growth and more mine life growth going forward. That exploration team has already had success. We announced a discovery in March of this year, modest in size, the Slyfox discovery. That's already will be paying dividends into the project itself, and now is being incorporated into the optimisation and the implementation of the asset. Moving forward towards production in Q2 of next year, and first gold in Q2 next year. So I'll really focus on what our main activities are right now and how we're moving the company forward. A very quick timeline of where we're at. You can see I'm here alone because the rest of the team has to constantly be kept busy with all of the project optimisation, financing discussions, development decisions, and all long lead time items. Right now is one of the busiest times in terms of activities, both on-site and with the project. Construction execution and construction is happening right now and will be, as I mentioned, production next year. So the project itself, it's all on the one granted mining lease, and there are two open pit mines, open pit mining only. The first that we'll mine, and they're within 3.5 kilometres of each other, is the slightly higher grade Golden Wings deposit. We'll truck that down the existing haul road, which you can see here, it's a little bit hard to see, but down to the new processing plant that's going to be built down here. The second pit that we'll be mining is the Gilbey's deposit. And the discovery we made just a few months ago at Slyfox, a potential third pit, is less than 1,600 metres away from the processing plant. That's just how underexplored this whole area is. This is just the postage stamp in the middle of the project so far. Our properties extend for 40 kilometres to the north, 30 to the south, and east-west in excess of 25 kilometres. So it's a very large area, and we're really only just scratching the surface. We'll be building a brand new processing plant. We are building a brand new process plant, 2.5 million tonnes per annum, and it's capable of over 3 million tonnes per annum when we're treating the soft oxide material for the first few years. We've got a lot of additional infrastructure already on site. There was a small pit mined here in the past, and we've got a lot of the infrastructure already in place, the bore fields, the tailings dams and so on. So it gives us a huge free kick, if you like. There are really a number of things that separate us and are key to the development of the Dalgaranga project. And if I can summarise them really in two words, it's simple and conventional. Now that's really important because that simplicity and conventional nature of the flow sheet reduces costs, reduces risks, reduces not just the operating costs but also the processing costs. The capital cost is substantially lower than you would normally expect for a 2.5 million tonne plant. This is the southern face of the Gilbey's pit, and you can see it's very deeply weathered. There was 70 metres, when they mined this previously, 70 metres of free dig material, no blasting required. That reduces your mining cost and reduces your dilution. The other thing you can see is you can actually visually see the ore body. Now, I'm doing that now deliberately because in a moment I'll actually show you what it looks like. It's a wide ore zone, up to 45 metres wide in the main zone. That reduces dilution, reduces mining costs because you're looking at bulk mining. It saves an enormous amount of money by doing this. As a result of that, increases margins. Excellent historical metallurgical recoveries. The plant, exactly the same flow sheet that we're building, last time achieved around 94.9% recovery, so very, very high metallurgical recovery through a very simple process. And we have all that historical operating data to support the information we have going forward. So high margins and simplicity. Looking at the flow sheet itself, it is about as simple as you can get in terms of a gold mining flow sheet. We have the ROM pad on the far right-hand side, one single jaw crusher, a transfer point and a crushed ore stockpile. That then feeds across to one single SAG mill, a high gravity gold component, and we get between 35 and 45% gravity gold recovery, again reduces reagent consumption and reduces costs. Then we've got the leach tanks, very rapid leaching, so we only need relatively small leach residence times. And this plant, very simple plant, is able to do in excess of 3.2 million tonnes per annum up to in the first few years. We're only factoring in 3 million tonnes per annum, so we've still got some operational flexibility to up production further. On top of that, the standard types of infrastructure you'd normally expect around an operation. So I'll very quickly run through the project execution because I'm mindful that time is somewhat limited. You can see since the feasibility study we've employed a very experienced development team. We've moved from 80% ownership when we finished the feasibility study now to 100% ownership with no private royalty to the former joint venture partner. We've moved to an EPC construction model that reduces the cost risk for the project, and we've already ordered a lot of the long lead time items. The camp, administration offices, the SAG mill, which is the longest lead time item for the actual project, has been ordered about 8 weeks ago. Gravity gold circuit, kilns, elution circuits and so on. So a lot of long lead time items have already been ordered. We've done a $55 million equity raising in March of this year. So we've got all of the equity portion of the funding required for the property. So we don't need to dilute our shareholders any further. Debt financing discussions are well advanced, and we're hopeful that we'll have those finalised in the next 6 weeks or so. And that will see us charging full steam ahead. The Dalgaranga, the village construction installation is 60% complete, and the bulk earthworks mobilisation has commenced, and they're actually on site next week commencing. So this is what the construction camp looks like so far, 56 rooms as a temporary facility. But the 240 room camp is already on site and is 60% through construction. So yeah, we are moving ahead rapidly towards the development. On top of that, as I mentioned, project optimisation is very, very important to us. We've now shown by increasing the throughput when we're treating the softer ore, we will see 244,000 ounces produced in the first 2 years, increasing substantially the early cash generation. Rapid payback, high margins. The reserve has been increased, and the project is now fully permitted, ready to go. And we are, as you saw from the last photos, certainly moving forward with it. We've made slight adjustments to the flow sheets to reduce operational risks and ongoing operational risks as well. So we're managing that very carefully going forward. What you can then see as a result of that is 120,000 ounces in the first few years, and then stepping down at this stage to 80 to 95,000 ounces. And the green here is the Slyfox discovery. What we believe we'll be able to achieve out of Slyfox should lift the production rate to in excess of 100,000 ounces for the first 5 years at least, and that's without any exploration success. Now, the chance of us not having any exploration success, in my opinion, is zero. We have continued to show that we can grow this asset. When we first acquired this asset, we had 300,000 ounces within it. We've added 1 million ounces to this project in the last few years, and importantly, at a cost of under $10 Australian an ounce. An incredible outcome and an incredible effort by our exploration team to do it as cheaply and effectively as possible. What that also shows is the fertility of the project, to be able to do it so cheaply and grow the resource base so rapidly. So we're certainly growing. We'll see additional growth and mine life growth. I have no doubt we'll be mining here for far in excess of the 6-8 years so far. I think we'll be 10, 12 plus. Very quickly, looking at the Slyfox discovery, it was discovered in March of this year, and the confirmation of that then moved forward into resource within a few months of discovery. We've drilled out only the first 270 metres of strike length so far, and we already have 77,000 ounces. Now, it's not a huge number of ounces in the overall scheme of things, but what it allows us to do is just build that production profile now for year 3, 4, and potentially year 5 as well. So it really helps cement the property going forward. You can see a number of wide ore zones within this ore zone, and it comes right up to surface. So very consistent grades, consistent widths, wide mining again, lowering the risk. We've already done metallurgical test work on this deposit. The recoveries are up to 98% recovery, so fantastic recoveries, low reagent consumptions, and a maiden reserve we're aiming for in the next few months as well. So certainly been moving aggressively forward with it. But that's really just the start. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got a large tenement package here. The Gilbey's deposit sits, and this is an aeromagnetic image. The Gilbey's deposit sits here. It then appears to have been folded around, and Slyfox then trends this way here. And Slyfox itself is that small little square there. Now, if you zoom out to not all of our package, but probably only about 20% of our package, you then start to see Slyfox is that little dot there. We own everything on this map is controlled by Gascoyne Resources. You can see a structure that appears to come down through here, fold around and continue on through here. That has not been drilled at all. The closest drilling to that structure is at the Seagram's deposit, which was drilled a few holes were put in 1994. No drilling has been done on that entire structure since. So the potential for substantial growth, either at a number of one of our prospects, really is outstanding. We've then also moved to start using more science into our exploration techniques. This is an EM survey, electromagnetic survey, to identify the more conductive horizons. Now, black shales are associated here with the mineralisation, and you can clearly see that same structure I showed earlier folding around here. And so there's plenty more potential along that trend between Slyfox to Seagrams, around and back through here. There's also a number of other regional prospects we have at Tanqueray, Hendricks, Bombay, Beefeater, Vickers, and so on. So anyone who can come up with some more gin names for our next few prospects, please come and see me at the booth. I'm always after more names to name more prospects after. So there's a huge potential here for a lot more growth, and it will continue to grow as we produce. As I did mention earlier, I would like to just very quickly discuss the Glenburg Project. This is our growth asset, and it's quite unusual for any company, whether it be a development company or a production company, to have in its back pocket another 1 million ounce project to develop next. Now, of the companies that Yerk actually put up, the Australian companies there, only I think 2 of them have plus, and they're all plus $1.5 billion companies. Only 2 of them have growth assets that have 1 million ounces within them. So on the ASX in general, there are only about 5 companies who have got, and this is going from exploration companies all the way up, a growth asset of another 1 million ounces sitting there in the wings. Now, Dalgaranga is a very different project. It's not a traditional greenstone hosted rock. It's what they call a shield margin. Worldwide, these systems are very large systems. There are a number of them around Canada, in India, Zimbabwe, and in Australia. The closest analogy to us at the Glenburg Project is actually the Tropicana deposit that's owned by Anglo Gold Ashanti and Independence Group. And that's an 8 million ounce system. That's on the southeastern contact of the Yilgarn block. We're on the northwestern. So they tend to be very large systems. And you can see here, this trend here, all on our ground, extends for more than 70 kilometres. Yeah, it's a massive area. I'm afraid I don't know Geneva well enough to know what is 70 kilometres away from here, but it's clearly a very large system that needs to be drilled substantially. Within that, those little black dots there, all the drilling that's been done on that entire lease, on that entire area. And that has already identified 1 million ounces. Now, the other thing that's really important for us is to identify the architecture and the age of the mineralisation and the architecture when the mineralising events happened. So we've done a lot of work to identify the age of the rocks and the age of the mineralisation. And the reason I'll mention that now is it's very important to understand that, to then have the model to understand and have the potential of how we move forward. So the next slide, I'll put an aeromagnetic image up and a bit of an animation to show you the model that we were working to and how it projects. So you can see an aeromagnetic image here. You can see northeast of this high magnetic unit. This is the architecture when the mineralising events happened. If you then plot where the deposits lie, you can see there are 3 subparallel trends. If you fast forward geological time 2 billion years into around 10 seconds, it then moves into this area here. What you can then see is these areas here are where we have the deposits. There was nothing down here at all. That area down there, we've now done drilling exactly where the model suggested it. And we've now got 85,000 ounces exactly where it was projected to be. Directly along strike from our highest grade deposit at the Zone 126 deposit here, we've got a 6 kilometre long soil anomaly, completely untested. So the potential for this system is far greater than the 1 million ounces we currently have. Approximately 30% of the 3 combined trends have been tested to date, and we already have 1 million ounces. Now, a number of people would say, well, why aren't you aggressively drilling here? And it's a very good point and a very good question. Why aren't we doing it? Part of the reason we're not doing that is we want to protect our shareholders and protect our capital structure, something that I think a lot of the Australian companies don't do as well as they should. So we have got a lot of these targets. What we're doing is getting the Dalgaranga Gold Project into production, into cash flow. We can then continue to the aggressive exploration here, grow this project to the ultimate size that it could be. Even if we don't find another ounce here, and the chances of that are 0, But even if we find no more ounces here, we've still got a project that will be a 5-year life, producing 80 to 100,000 ounces per annum, which will give the company as a whole 11 years of life. Or we have Dalgaranga going at 120,000 ounces, bring Glenburg online while we're still mining Dalgaranga, and grow to 200,000 ounces per annum. That's our intention, to bring Glenburg online while we're still mining Dalgaranga and grow the company to a 200,000 plus ounce producer. So moving forward, we've got a lot of work going on. Excuse me. A lot of news flow coming, and we are fully funded, so it's going very, very well. The capital structure, as I mentioned earlier, 370 million shares on issue. We are tightly held. Board and management team, we own 11% of the company. So we are very aligned with our shareholders, and we'll do everything we can to protect them. So in summary, we are a gold development company in Western Australia, 100 to 120,000 ounces per annum from our first operation at the Dalgaranga project. We'll then, from the cash flow generated from that, build our Glenburg project and grow towards 200,000 ounces, while still the other aim we have got is ultimately to be a dividend-paying company. And the cash flow generated and the margins that are available from these assets do allow us to grow the company and go forward. So a fantastic opportunity. Thank you for the organisers for the opportunity to come. And if you'd like to ask me any questions, please feel free to come and see me at the booth. And more than happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you very much.